So continuing on with Evo progress, I made a dumb mistake yesterday. This is just going to be kind of going on with all my little stuff that I'm doing in the meantime while the engine's still at the machine shop and I'm waiting to hear back on what the verdict will be and all that. So what I've been doing lately is I've been kind of cleaning up the shop, getting stuff just kind of organized and cleaned up for when I actually get the engine back, then it's ready to go. One of which being I want to get the bumper looking at 8 out of 10, I'd say. I would say 10 out of 10, but just I don't want to repaint it. I don't want to do a bunch of stuff on it, but I can do the bumper mesh, which is what I did. So I'll show you what I did. So this is all coated in Prismatic Powder's Ink Black, and you can see it is a very, very high gloss kind of finish. It actually came out really good. So I have, I think, 4 pieces here that are all done in it, and then this one really big piece that's all done in Ink Black. But if you notice, it's kind of hard to tell on here, but it kind of disappears a little bit. It picks up better on the camera than it does in real life, but if you're looking at it, you almost lose some of the mesh. But what I did yesterday was like a total accident is I went to coat this big piece and I grabbed the wrong powder. I bought Ink Black and Blackjack. Ink Black is this guy here. It is a high gloss finish, as you can see here. The other bag looks literally identical to it, except just on the bottom it says Blackjack and a little bit different cure schedule. I thought I looked at it and I apparently did not read it. I just saw black and said that's the right one, and here we are. So this one is finished in Blackjack, and it kind of works out because I think this actually looks a lot better, a little bit closer to OE, not as shiny, not nearly as shiny, which is probably good. And the mesh, I think, pops a lot better on Blackjack than it does on Ink Black. Plus the finish up here just looks amazing, and it doesn't pick up fingerprints like Ink Black does. If you look here, you fingerprint it. I don't know if it'll pick up on the camera, but you can definitely tell in real life that I touched right there. Versus on here, touch it, there's nothing. So yeah, today's project now has gone from getting the last couple things coated being, I think, one more piece, and then the rest of it's all going to be different colors or Cerakoted, to I'm going to be just recoating all of these in Blackjack. I'm not going to be doing anything special. I'm not going to be prepping it really. I'm just going to clean it off and then recoat it because I already cleaned it and everything went on there perfect. So now I'm just going to be redoing it in this color and should have everything knocked out today, I think, because it's a pretty fast process once you actually get down to this part. Mainly the hood mesh is what I want to record just because it's a little bit more of an interesting process when it's from bare metal, because actually what you're supposed to do. Just powder coat is so hard to take off when you don't have a stripper for it, which I do not. I'd just rather show a proper process versus just kind of half-assing, I guess. I don't know. All right, it's time to powder coat. I have the Redline 250 gun. It is by far the best powder coating gun you can buy for just, at home amateur kind of work. It is spendy. It's at like $350. However, it's better than spending the, $80 for a Harbor Freight gun, because I could not get mine to work right. The Eastwood ones, I think like $200. They work okay. Still not as good as this. This is by far the best one you can get. This is the voltage adjuster back here. So this is going to be super, super strong. Electronic clinging. This is going to be virtually nothing. Right now I have the hood mesh in the oven. We're going to start with what's called hot flocking. Basically it's where the part is up to a certain temperature, basically enough to melt the powder coat when it touches. The reason for this is it is much harder to control how much you're getting on there. However, it does make it easier for like the weird kind of crevices, because this has what's called the Faraday effect. The Faraday effect is if there's metal that's too close together, the positive charge from this versus the ground on that will actually repel the powder. Therefore, you will not get any coverage in that space unless you are experienced in it, kind of know how to work around it. I'm pretty decent at that. However, this hood mesh has a place all the way around it where it's going to get that Faraday effect. So I'm doing my best to try and get around that. I'm probably going to coat this thing at about 200 degrees. Should get just a little bit of a stick, a little bit of a melt, but also just have its normal coating. It is possible to have too much powder, so just be aware of that. If you get too much on there, you'll get a sag. It's just like paint. It's like getting a run in paint, except far more frustrating because powder is so much harder to take off. So my next thing that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to be pulling the part out of the oven in just a second, but first I'm going to fill this up with our powder of choice today, making sure it is the right one. This is Blackjack. The cure time for this is 15 minutes at 375 degrees part metal temperature. All right, so about this much powder, you can kind of see in there. Yeah, about that much. I mean, more than enough to get this part done. I'm actually gonna be putting some powder back into the bag after this. As long as you keep your gun clean, and I always keep the cup on here just to make sure it stays clean. When you go to start spraying, just kind of spray out a little bit, just to, one, test your flow, and two, just to get any contaminants that might be up here in the front out. You can always just toss your powder back in the bag. At least in my experience, never had any issues. So I'm gonna go pull the part out of the oven. We are gonna get this thing hooked up to about 20 to 30 pounds of air and get this thing shot. So it is still very hazy in here. You can kind of see all the parts and everything, and you can see why I wear a respirator when I do this. I didn't mention it before, but it is very cloudy in here, especially because I don't have my old booth like I used to have one that had a couple fans on the back with filters, and it would pull all the powder down, and it was much cleaner. But I don't have it anymore. I sold it when I moved, so it is what it is. The nice thing is with this powder is when it's on the ground like this, you just sweep it up. It's super easy. There's no like big cleaning process. Just do not get brake clean on it because brake clean will melt it. And once it melts onto the ground, you're not getting it off. Also, if you use blackjack, just know it is a very smoky powder. Once it goes into the oven, it gets about the point where it flows out, you're gonna notice some smoke. And then once it actually starts baking, and it's baking for its 15 minutes, around like the 5-minute mark to the 10-minute mark, you're gonna think your oven's on fire. It's pretty significant. I'm just gonna leave this thing as is. I'm probably gonna move the powder gun, kind of like disassemble it mostly, but I'm still gonna leave it loaded with all the powder, just in case I need to give it another coating. And yeah, I'll see where in the part kind of gets the temperature. If it looks like it's good, hopefully it is, but we'll kind of go from there. All right, so this next part is cancel the timer on the oven. So I'm gonna keep it at 375 just because I plan on doing another set right after this. All right, let's open this thing up and see how everything looks. Look at that. Also, you're gonna need one of these too to have a successful time powder coating. You gotta be able to know when that part is at the right temperature. So the powder did come out pretty good. However, that Faraday effect makes it to where I'm gonna have to respray this thing in one specific area I kind of thought I was gonna have an issue with. So I'll show you. Down here got pretty good coverage. Little light right through here, so I'll respray that. But up here, virtually none of it got coated. Even though I sprayed specifically up in that direction, nothing got it. So what I'm gonna do is right now, I'm gonna spray this thing, even though it's still fairly hot to the touch. That'll really get all the powder up in there. And then I just have to put the whole thing in, otherwise I'll have like weird rough spots. It is now day 2, not because I ran out of time, just because I ran out of time before I had to go to dinner because I had obligations. But I did go ahead and get the hood mesh done, and I still have the one more piece to respray over the ink black, and then I just have one more bumper mesh, and then we are on to assembling the bumper, which is so nice to finally be able to do. But I'm gonna show you how this hood mesh came out. It took me 3 tries to get this thing to finally go, but look how nice it came out. Granted, this thing is going to have a rubber seal that kind of goes over this. Overall, I'm very happy with how it looks. No weird issues aside from just the Faraday effect that was just causing me havoc the entire time I was trying to do it. Other than that, though, I mean, this thing's ready to go. It's ready to get installed after I get the rubber bit on there, and then yeah. So my plan for today is going to be a little bit different, kind of. 48's obviously outside, as you just saw. Apparently I have an oil leak, so that's a different thing. I'm gonna get this ink black piece, heat it up again. I want to hot flock it once again because that worked really, really well yesterday for getting those other pieces done, since you don't really get a good ground when you have a bunch of powder on there and you don't have a reserved ground spot for it. And then I want to get this last bumper mesh done, and once these guys are done, we're good to go. We're gonna get the bumper assembled today. Fortunately, I have a moving blanket for moving a desk yesterday, and I have one other thing in mind that I want to do. So as I was talking about with powder coat and brake clean not mixing, I have this can of brake clean from Advance, and then I have this cap that has some blackjack on it. This is a little bit I spilled on the table when I was trying to clean up my gun, so this is just dead powder, not gonna use it again. If you saw what I swept up, you'd see why. I'm gonna take a little bit of this brake clean, and I'll show you what it does. I'm gonna put it in my hand. Hold it on top here. So if you watch it for a second, it's actually gonna liquefy. Check this out. See how thick it is now? This actually melts the powder. You can see here, it's like a whole glob. If you're gonna be using brake clean to clean off your parts prior, make sure you don't drip any down onto the powder. Otherwise, if this gets on your floor, you're not getting it off. All right, so we're about to move on to bumper assembly. However, I'm waiting for the parts to cool down. So in the meantime, I went ahead and dug out a bunch of parts, and I'm gonna kind of go over a quick plan that I have for getting this whole assembly to just come together real nice. So across all of this, I have all these parts, obviously. Each one has its own color that it's gonna be for the most part. So this cart is the powder coat cart. So this guy here, plan now is gonna go ink black. Just that way it'll be a little bit shinier and it'll be easier to clean off in case there's any dust or anything on it in the future. It'll be, clean, and it'll kind of match the block. Get into that in a minute. These guys are all going to be the theme color for the car, which I have not got into yet, but the brakes will also be this color. I just haven't got everything yet, obviously. So these guys will all be the same color here once I finish stripping this and this. These guys, for sure, are all going to be gloss black from Cerakote. So this is going to be a Bake Cure, I believe it's the H series. And this one I think is going to be black, but it might be silver. It might be, I think it's Glacier Silver is the other color I picked. All of these guys over here are going to be Glacier Silver, including the cylinder head. I'm not going to sandblast the cylinder head, so I don't know if this coating's really going to last that much. I just really don't want to risk it. I don't want to redo this again, so it's just going to be left as is. And then this guy, I'll just assemble it, get all of that done up nice. All of these parts will be super easy. The longest part's probably going to be sandblasting them. And then these guys are just that way the head actually looks complete. Block is obviously not here, but that one is also going to be black. I believe that one's going to be Glacier black, probably. Not sure. Whatever my Air Cure one is, maybe Black Velvet. We'll have to see what I decide to do once I get it in. We'll get it back from the machine shop and then kind of decide how much coating I have. The bumper is all set up on this table, ready to go. All the parts, all the bumper mesh came out fantastic. Not a single complaint on these. So here's a rundown of how it's gonna go. I'm gonna flip this thing over onto its nose because we're gonna have to use some of this super glue and epoxy to fix some of the bumper tabs on the back that hold on the mesh because they are broken. So along with this, I do have both of these pieces ready to go. They are Cerakoted in Black Velvet, matching some of my other parts that I've done. However, I do have a broken off bolt here I forgot about, so I'm probably gonna do that one after it's all assembled, just because it'll probably be easy enough just to get out. It's already gonna be off, so I can probably access it then. Nothing else, I'll just pop off the piece that it's holding on, maybe the whole piece, and fix it then. Mesh is good to go. As I said, nothing weird there. Have a whole bag of hardware and random little bits that need to get assembled on there. Whose dogs are those? All right, let's get on to assembly. What I'm using is a Super Weld super glue with this UV light. That is how you cure it. This stuff is super, super cool, and I'll show you why. So it doesn't take much, but if you're gonna do it, you can use it, just put a little bit right here. Just like that. Be a little bit generous on the outsides here, because that's how it's gonna cure. Take that, stick your part on there right where you want it, just like that, and use the light. Oh no. Kind of get that lined up, put the light on it. That's actually pretty secure. Probably gonna get this guy just a little bit extra. It's as sturdy as part of the bumper here. So what else I might do is I might take some of that other epoxy I have and just kind of fill in this corner after I get the whole thing assembled and it's then sitting vertical. But I need to do the same thing over here for this broken piece, and then I actually have one on either side here. My bumper mesh that came off of here wasn't even attached. Following day, because I once again ran out of time yesterday. So I realized after the fact I was looking for something that I thought was missing that I may or may not have had for the bumper, and it looks like I am missing it, so I'm going to have to get that. Let me show you what I found. So the first thing I had to go find was my ducting for my oil cooler. Not a big thing, it was just in the car, I had to go find that. Found these guys too, which apparently I forgot those up here. Once I get this all cleaned up, I'm just going to do a quick trim coat on it, then I can put this guy on, and then this will be all good to go. But I did also forget this guy. I guess that goes down here, or up here. I think it's down here. Yeah, it's down here. That guy goes down here, don't really know why. I'm missing an entire bracket, possibly two, down on the bottom here. So I gotta try and track one of those down, and then I'm also missing all of the clips for these little tabs here, which is why this is not properly supported. So that's another thing I gotta look for. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it's pretty much done. And then also this foam guy goes here. So I'm gonna have to take all of this out just to get to put that on there. And I kind of want to put it on there too, just because it'll help keep this push forward. But yeah, that's the task for today. So I gotta get the 48 out of here and then just kind of redo what I already did. The bumper is finally done. It's like 90% done. I'll show you what I mean. Look at all of this beautiful work that has been accomplished over the last couple of weeks. These two pieces are Cerakoted here. All of the bumper mesh that you see is powder coated in Prismatic Powder's Blackjack. All these little plastic bits you see here, there and there, are all done using the OEM plastic along with some Cerakote trim coat. Absolutely amazing stuff. I've used it in a previous video, so check that out if you haven't already. The foam pieces are all in here, so this is all good to go. I am missing a screw right here, but I'll just dig one out of my extra bin. Now here's where I say 90%. These little pegs right here are supposed to have little retainers on them, so I'm gonna go ahead and order those along with all of my engine parts when I go to order all of that. So I will be able to get all of that finished up. And then I'm actually missing, looks like 1 or 2 brackets down here. Supposed to be one here, and then I think one that connects to that to go up here to the mesh to hold all of this in. So I don't know where all that is. I don't know if I ever had it or not, but I'm gonna be on the hunt for that so that way I can get that to 100% and actually get this mesh to stay in so that way I don't lose it, because then I'd be sad. And then I also need one more of these retainers right here. But other than that, I mean, this bumper looks amazing. So let's get it flipped over and then probably take a thumbnail and whatnot. All right, so there you have it, guys. This is a gorgeous restoration on this Evo 9 front bumper. I even managed to get this sticker off over here, so you're no longer sponsored by Hentai Racing, which is good because that's not really my vibe. But came off easy. The ghost of the sticker is still there, so I mean, we'll take care of that later. But I mean, this looks amazing. I was even talking about replacing this front badge and whatnot, but I don't think I'm going to do that. It looks so good just as is. So I mean, I think it's a wrap for today. Everything else I'm going to do, I'm going to get all of this cleaned up here so I can get my sandblast cabinet going again, because using that hot pot outside gets very, very annoying. So plan for the rest of the day is just get a thumbnail taken, get some stuff cleaned up, and then get some sandblasting done so I can Cerakote over the next couple days, because the Cerakote is getting delivered in like 1 hour.